Drip, drip, drop.
Dropping dimes, dropping dimes.
Baby Dame Dollar here, trailblazing dimes everywhere. I don't want to boast, but I'm dropping dimes from coast to coast. Dropping dimes everywhere, like I just don't care. I'm dropping dimes on the bike, on the stairs. I'm even dropping dimes on my teddy bear.
Welcome back to another episode of Droppin' Dimes. I'm Noah Cooper, joined by my co-host Perry Randle, and today we have another very special guest for you guys. NBA posted up contributor on Yahoo Sports, Mark Haynes. Thanks for coming on the show today, Mark.
Oh, thank you guys for having me.
Mark, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? We know, like Noah said, that you're a contributor to Post It Up, but just tell us a little bit about the show, about who you are and how you've been helping with your brother Chris and, him being a reporter and all that.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're all from Fresno, California. I don't know if any of you guys know where that's at, but Fresno, California. And, I like to, Chris say the opposite, but I like to say that I'm kind of the brains behind the talent when it comes to Chris, and we as kids we've always done we practice doing interviews with each other, and
right.
When we used to play NBA Live, when NBA Live was bigger than 2K,
right?
Between games we would have post game interviews and halftime interviews. People would look at us and think we're crazy, but that was just something that we always did. And Chris, he blew up and been a very successful writer and journalist and stuff. So that's kind of how we it's always been that way, and we all had a love for basketball, and and recently we just started up our podcast, Posted Up with Chris Haynes, and this kind of something we've been talking about for the last few years of doing, and we just got a platform that fits perfectly with what we want to do, and we're just going, and things have been going pretty well.
I know you said a little bit about how you guys played NBA Live. I'm sure there's a lot of brotherly love that goes on with that, but did you guys ever play against each other on the hardwood, on the concrete in the backyard, those type of games? Who was the better player with that? That's what I got to know.
Hey, well, I ain't go front. Chris was the better. He was the better player.
A humble man.
It was. I was a weird one because I was a football player who actually loved basketball, but I had more of the football body. I was, 6 foot, 210 pounds, and Chris, he's 6'2", one. Well, then, when he's in shape, he's like 180, 170. Now he's probably he a fat guy too now, so we both look like football players. But yeah, I was more of the football player, but I was known for locking people up, including him.
You sound like you was hacking people a lot, man, giving hard fouls. That's what that sound like.
Hey, that's early 90s, 2000 hand checking and stuff was allowed, so I was good.
All right. We just got a little bit of background on Mark Haynes. Let's jump right into the NBA action. So recently we had Russell Westbrook get into an altercation with a fan. Some comments going back and forth, disrespectful on both ends. Westbrook gets fined for $25,000. How do you feel about that? Do you think the NBA was right in fining him? Do you think he was right for responding? How do you feel about that?
Well, I like, I'm not too upset with how things went. I love the fact that Utah went ahead and put that ban on that fan for, permanently.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely needed.
Yeah, that was cool, and it surprised me. I didn't think they'd go that far, but that was good, because there's been a lot of incidents where, the fans, they feel they can say whatever they want to the players. At the end of the day, yeah, they're millionaires, but these guys are humans.
Right.
These guys, especially Westbrook, some of these guys, you can get under their skin and they'll react.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, just purchasing a ticket to the game doesn't give the fan a right to be that kind of way towards Westbrook.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think especially when like the guys that's getting close to the players are usually richer white people. It's not a lot of black people buying those floor seats to where they can even talk to the players. So you get a lot. I imagine the players will when they get these hateful things said, it'll be a lot of racial comments and things of that nature. When the people that the people that love you and coming to see you because they're happy to see you, they're probably in the nosebleed, so they'll never even get to really get in contact with you. So I think a part of having those good seats, I think it should be a certain level of respect that arenas have to start enforcing.
Now, do you think the NBA should have better rules in place for these situations to try to prevent them? We've seen the malice in the palace in the past. We just saw this situation with Westbrook. Do you know any kind of rules you think the NBA could implement to try to prevent these situations?
Yeah, it's tough because it's so many people, it's so many fans. It could be 20,000 people, and you can't hire enough staff to control everybody and catch everything. But I think they just have like with Utah putting this ban on the fan. I think that was big time. I think it was a good step in the right direction of saying look, we're not going to tolerate this. Like, this is unacceptable. You need to be paying for tickets to come to the game and enjoying the game, not antagonizing the players. Even though you boo the guys or whatever, but you don't make it personal or racial, right, or keep it fun. Everybody, these players they talk trash to each other all game. Everybody talks trash. Everybody knows when you're crossing the line.
Right, and I think that's what you hit on earlier about being a richer white man that's at the game, and I think that's what upset Westbrook. The comment that he said was, "Get on your knees like you used to," or that's what it was said in the media. And I think not even just Westbrook, but that takes me off as a fan just hearing that. As a black man, I'm like, whoa, that's way out of line. I get that you're at the game, like you say, you want to boo people, but at the same time, there's a certain level of respect that has to be had for these guys, because they are people just like the person that's making the comment. I'm not over here calling you slave master, racial, and all that. I don't know you like that, and that's how they're acting.
Exactly.
And especially a guy like Westbrook, who's had comments with other fans in Salt Lake City. Even Steven Jackson has mentioned how he's had altercation with a fan. They had him in a jail suit in the crowd. It's some crazy stuff that goes on. Let's just be honest. Some of these fans, especially in Salt Lake City, are out of line. And I think it's just time that the NBA also, finds a way to make sure that their players are protected a little better. I get the fine. I get that Westbrook needs to be fined for the comments that he made, because they're not okay either. Let's make that clear. He shouldn't say, I'm going to come at you on everything I love. I know the black man getting riled up, but
him being a role model, too, to so many people.
Exactly. And I think it's also crazy to me that athletes are held to a higher standard than, say, like the level of our president. That's crazy to me that we're expecting this of these guys, but it's kind of wrong to say. It's kind of crazy to think about. So I'm getting riled up over here. No, go ahead and get back into. I need to go take a breather.
Cool down. Grab a cup of water, man. Cool down.
So let's move on from the Russell Westbrook situation here. I think we've said what needs to be said.
Yeah, because we could just go on and on and on.
I know. So, Mark, we were just kind of wanting to know at this point in the Lakers season, what's kind of your overall opinion of them right now, and then moving forward as well, because we saw this season right now, they have the same exact record that they had last season at this time, obviously with the addition of LeBron James. So what's your take of this season as a whole, and then with them, more than likely not making the playoffs this season?
Yeah, that's crazy. I just seen that the other day about they got the same exact record as last year, and I'm surprised I'm surprised. I am and I'm not. I didn't think the Lakers had a really good team. I think they added LeBron, and I was like, LeBron can get them to the playoffs, which I believe he still would have if he didn't miss those, 16 games or whatever he missed.
Right.
If he didn't miss, there was number 4 in the West when he went out.
Right.
So I think he would have. I think he could have got them to the playoffs, and they probably would have took a first-round exit. But with the injury and coming back, I'm not surprised of the struggles, and especially when all the trade rumors came out, and with this team being so young and fragile, they basically just fell apart, and this was a disaster.
Do you feel like them being young and always having their hands on their phones, always being on social media, do you think that's what made everything kind of just blow up for them? Of course, we have the injury as well with LeBron, but do you think that's what kind of disengaged the younger players?
Yeah, I think that had a major impact. Like you said, it could have even been more than LeBron being injured. It's been tough, like for guys. I think J.R. Smith said it when playing with LeBron. He's like, it's like the best thing in the world, and it could be the worst thing in the world. Because if you're winning, it's easy to win because LeBron is so great. But if you're losing, it's all your fault, and you're getting blamed for everything, and you suck, and all this stuff. And a lot of people can't handle it, especially, and that's what I think happened with these young guys. In Cleveland, that was a team full of vets. So they, JR had all kind of criticism throughout his career. But the Lakers, the Kuzmas, Ingram, Ball, all these young guys, they've never been in any type of situations similar to this. So I think it completely, overwhelmed them, and it got them away from basketball. From coaching, from Luke all the way down. Luke the same way. I think this job was overwhelming for him as well.
I agree because, aside from all the injuries that this team's had with LeBron and then the other guys on their team recently, them being young guys, they've never had to experience all these trade rumors before, all the pressures that come with playing with LeBron. So, Mark, I was just curious, moving forward now for the Lakers, what do you think they can do to improve after this season in the offseason and then next season as well to try to make the playoffs and make a playoff push?
And they gotta figure out a way to get one of these big names over there. They gotta figure out how to do it in the summer, because that's what I think also was a bad thing for the Lakers this year. Is I think they were too passive this past summer. There's a bunch of rumors about getting Kawhi, but they're saying they didn't want to put Brandon Ingram in the deal and things like that. And if it came down to just Brandon Ingram was the reason that deal didn't happen, then that was just completely dumb, for lack of words. But they should have made the deal, because you gotta have your team set. Especially in the West. In the West, you gotta know what you're rolling with, so you don't have all those mid-season distractions of trade rumors and the players feeling not wanted. Talking about firing coaches, and you got to go into the season. And I think if they go into the season next year with something they like and something everybody feels comfortable with for the most part and feels safe, I think they'll be all right.
And if you're one of these big names, let's go ahead and flip the script. If you're one of these big names, do you see the Lakers as one of your top destinations, or do you think the Clippers or the Knicks or any other team would be a better destination?
I think the Lakers is still a prime destination. I know it's a lot of guys like KD said, and others said that the big names don't necessarily want to play with LeBron. But we seen LeBron make some. I was when he went to Miami. I never thought that would happen.
Right.
I couldn't see it happen, even with the rumors and stuff. I was like, it wouldn't happen. But and I wouldn't be surprised, if Kyrie ends up in LA, I think we get caught up in too much of the comments that players make and the dramatics, because they create the narrative as well, because they want to, because they know, for years media controls everything, and now with social media and stuff, and how much you got on camera, they start to control us out there as well. They say things they want to say, so it's a game between the players and media, but I still think if I'm a big name, I think LA is looking better than going to New York to me, or Clippers over the Lakers. I don't necessarily see that. And
I think another thing to consider is Clutch Sports. I think Matt Carter, he's making a bunch of moves. He got AD. He's even got Draymond Green now. So I think that's another factor to consider. Just that how this common camaraderie among these players with LeBron, AD. Let's all team up now. So I think that's another thing to consider. Just that all these guys, they have the same agent. Let's all find a way to get a ring together.
Yeah, and they're like family. Like, we just All-Star Weekend, I went to a Clutch Sport event, and they're all there. They enjoy being around each other. They're family. So I know, they won't say. I think AD came out, him and Rich Paul came out and said that he's available for all 29 teams. But I really believe he wants to be, with the Lakers, with LeBron, with Rich and the rest of Clutch Sports. And that the Pelicans, they're going to do their best to, stop that from happening. But man, they're a monster. They're working on things. Wouldn't sign Draymond Green, and that could be a situation where Draymond could end up in a Laker jersey. Nobody really talked about that or said that, but when I see a guy with Clutch, I know it's always a possibility that he could end up with LeBron somewhere.
I heard they be getting a little wild at them Clutch Sports party. Do you know a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, I'm learning a little bit, man. I learned a little bit.
What's it like getting to meet all those NBA guys?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, man. It was, I'm trying to think of the words.
Hey, don't put up no front. Let us know.
I was a little speechless, because how it happened, we looking for the place. We don't really see we don't see a lot of cars or anything and whatnot. And we pull up and we get to the address, and as we getting out of our Uber, the first person we see getting out of the Uber in front of us is Quavo from the Migos. And it was like, oh man, the first thing I noticed, this is my first time seeing him, and man, this guy's a lot taller than I thought. I thought he was about 5'4". But he's about 5'10", maybe 5'11".
You thought it was Kevin Hart.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought he was too.
I thought he was a little guy. But so then, we walk in, and it's a long hallway. Nobody's in it but me, my brother Terrence, and Quavo and his. Some people is, I say that. Some people is with it.
All right.
And I ain't trying to get people in trouble and stuff.
Don't be dry snitching out here.
So it's a rope at the end of this long hall, and of course they let Quavo in, and we get there and they stop us, and they ask us who we are, who list we on, blah blah blah, and then about a minute or two later, it didn't take long, they opened up the gates and said, "Come on in." And as soon as we walk in the door, LeBron's right there, and he comes and greets us, and he said he actually well, I knew of course he knew Chris. Chris covered him for a few years, and he just knows them.
Right.
And he sees me and Terrence, and he tells Terrence, he's like, "Yeah, I know who y'all is. I watch y'all all the time."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Hey, so the ego was stroked immediately.
A little bit.
Immediately. So then we walk downstairs, some stairs. Bron tells us to come down. He was like, "Yeah, go grab a drink, whatever, blah, blah, blah." And then first person to see, you see Quavo again, but his back was turned to us. But then J. Cole's right there.
Hey, that's my guy.
Chains.
That's crazy.
Meek Mill, I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. I'm like, this is, I'm like starstruck, and I'm like, I've met LeBron, other times, so it was like, when I see LeBron, it's like, oh yeah, it's cool, LeBron, but this was the first time I was around so many guys at once, and it was like, I'm in a, we in a clutch sport event right here.
This sounds like Chappelle's show with Charlie Murphy telling a true Hollywood story.
That's how I said. I was telling my partner about it. He was like, "Man, this sounds too good to be true." I was like, "Hey," I said, "Charlie Murphy." They didn't believe Charlie Murphy either.
Out of all the NBA players that you met and you've had a conversation with, which one of them has probably seemed like the most down to earth, the one that you kind of get that this is a regular person feel about? I know you guys have talked to Damian Lillard, and I know the rapport that he has with Chris, and I know that's pretty good. So, which one would you say that you probably had the best experience with?
So Dame we've been around Dame since his rookie season,
right?
And so I'm gonna take him out because we see him a lot. We even did Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's
this
cheating.
past year
That's
with him.
cheating. Don't say him.
And so we gonna take him out. But my recent new one is it just happened this past weekend in Atlanta. Was Gary Payton. Oh man, Gary is everything you've seen on TV. He's that all the time. This is my first time meeting him. We talked at the studio and stuff for a little bit. We were staying at the same hotel, and he was like, "Man, come on, let's go down the street for some food and stuff and a cocktail." So we go there, and he's loud, he's funny. He's super cool.
He sound like your average black man.
Yeah, no, that's it. Oakland, California.
So you're saying the real life Gary isn't the same trash talker that he is on the court.
Oh no, he's still talking trash. He's still talking trash. That Gary Payton, that's him. That's him all the time, 24/7. How when the first thing he said, he might have been talking to me. I don't know if he was talking to me or not. But we're in the studio, and they'll order, like it's at Turner, so they'll order you food and stuff, right? And it's on this computer, and the food get delivered and stuff. So I'm standing in front of the computer, and he walks in. Well, he don't even walk in. He just sticks his head in the door, and he said, "Hey, give me 3 wings, 2 thighs, lemon pepper, some coleslaw, mashed potatoes, and peach cobbler," something like that. He just yells that out and walked out. He comes back and said, "Don't take too long either. Have my stuff ready." And I was ordering my food, but but from that point on, just nonstop. He keeps talking. He's funny as hell. He's funny, but he's super cool. Cool.
All right. Well, I got another question for you. Being from California, they got 4 NBA teams. I'm from Kansas City, and we need one of those teams. But we gonna let y'all have all 4. So, which one of those 4 teams did you grow up, or even if it's not one of those 4 teams, what is your favorite NBA team?
What is my favorite California team?
It doesn't have to be California. It could be any team in the NBA.
See, that's a difficult question for me because I'm actually I'm one of those Team LeBron guys.
Oh, here we go.
But
here we go. I'm Miami. I'm Cleveland.
Hey, I'm on a 4-year deal with the Lakers right now.
Oh my God!
He can finally root. He can finally root for a team in his home state.
Oh, here we go.
It took him this long.
So I'm a little excited about that, even though year one has definitely let me down. So I'm struggling. I haven't necessarily called myself a Laker yet, but we working on it. We're working on it. But I just had with basketball especially. There's so much movement with the players, either via trade or free agency.
Right.
And my hometown, Fresno, California, we don't have one of the teams, so we're right in the center of California.
Right.
So I've never fell in love with any of the California teams because I would go see all of them, and so I always appreciated the players, more than the team. I guess. Yeah, so I can't pick one team. But when it comes to like college football, basketball, I'm Duke basketball, USC football to the day I die.
So you're just a bandwagoner then, huh?
Hey, I've been Duke since a kid. At USC, my name is Mark Allen Haynes. I was partially named after Marcus Allen, which was running back at USC. So, it's in me. We just happen to be great.
And now, being a LeBron guy, this season it's probably done a little bit to hurt your greatest of all time argument, huh?
It's made me have to pull some things out of my bag to to work with. But I don't. Me personally, I don't think it affects it, but especially when you look at the circumstances. But of course, if you're a Jordan guy, this is the greatest thing that could have happened.
This is the season you've been waiting for. If you're a Jordan guy, well,
they needed this. Touche.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you know I'm a Kobe fan. I think Kobe the greatest of all time.
Stop.
All right, so where is he in your GOAT conversation? Is he even in there?
This is a lot. So.
Oh, here we go. Whatever they say, this is a lot. So this what happened was.
Where does the GOAT line end? Because he's an all-time great, no doubt. But it was. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. It was Kobe had a short amount of time. He was great. He was awesome. But he had a short amount of time where he was the unanimous best player in the league.
Amen.
I think that would even further his argument because of the competition that he had to go against.
You could go there. I ain't mad at you on that one. Yeah, I ain't mad at you on that one at all.
Hey, if you're the greatest of all time, though, you should be great for the longest period possible. Like LeBron has shown.
At the end of the day, like I tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and tell my man Mark Allen. Look, everybody's conversation is flawed in my opinion, and I think that the GOAT is gonna change, by each generation. And, everybody's going to have their opinion. There's no real right or wrong answer. Now, there's some dumb answer. You ain't going to tell me that Brian Scalabrine is the GOAT and I'm going to listen to you. Ain't no way. But at the end of the day, there's no real right and wrong answer. Kobe's just my GOAT.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, you got who you got. But you're saying that you got LeBron James as your GOAT.
Yeah, I got LeBron as mine. That's like you say, I agree with you 100%. I don't think there's well, there are wrong answers, but the top 10 players of all time, they all you could make an argument for all of them basically.
Let me hear top five. Let me hear top five.
My top five: LeBron, Jordan, Kareem, Wilt. Number 5, man. Number 5, man. That's impressive. Man, you know what? In respect of youth, I'm throwing Kobe right now.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Don't give him that. At least say Magic or something. Don't give him all that.
I appreciate the love, man.
I put him there, but yeah, you know, because it's Magic, it's Bird, it's Olajuwon, Russell. Oh man, it's hard.
If I'm gonna go ahead and leave that alone. You know, we got Kobe. You know what he do. I ain't gonna say no more about it. But we go ahead. I'm gonna ask you my last question because we're hitting 30 minutes right now, and I told you 30 minutes. So I'm gonna ask you my last question. We're gonna wrap up the show. Who is your MVP so far this season?
Woo, MVP, man. It's definitely between Giannis and Paul George for me. Even though James Harden is having, you know, one of them James Harden years.
All right.
But if Giannis holds on to that number one seed in the East, you know, you got to give it to him.
Right.
Even though Paul George, man, I think Paul George is the people's MVP.
Mm-hmm. He's doing it on both ends of the court.
Yeah, he could basically almost he could possibly win MVP and Defensive Player this year.
Right.
Which is crazy, you know. And I mean, I would love to see Paul George get it. You know, I actually got ties to both of them. I love to see Paul George get it, being from Fresno State. You know. And then Giannis, you know, he dates my cousin, so you know, I think I'll be happy either way.
Well, just a casual throw that out there. He dates my cousin. All right.
And she's from Fresno, California.
Hold on, how did that come about? I'm curious.
I'm about to take a trip out to Fresno. Y'all doing it like that out there?
Hey man, we over here hiding in the sun, man. That's all we doing.
Hey, how'd that come about? I'm curious.
I have no idea, actually. I have no idea.
Hey, I'm more of a Giannis guy myself this season, and I think, you know, a good consolation prize for Paul George would be the Defensive Player of the Year because I think he's most deserving there.
Yeah, he's been a monster,
and maybe even most improved. I love, you know, his comeback from the injury he had with USA Basketball, fracturing his leg, and now he's up to this, and he's having this type of season, playing alongside Westbrook, and you know the troubles that he had with, you know, Kevin Durant. They broke up, so Paul George is kind of like going against the odds. He's saying that I could play with Westbrook. We can actually make a run at the championship. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just excited for this postseason, especially for the East. What you think about the East? Who you got coming out the East? That's what I want to know.
Man, I'm still running with Boston, even though the struggles. I think Boston is. I think the talent over there, and with Kyrie Irving running the show, I think they figure it out in the playoffs. You know, they remind me a lot of the Warriors. You know, the Warriors have, you know, ups and downs, and but when it comes to the playoffs, you got to beat them in a 7-game series. I don't see any of those guys in the East, even though they're playing, you know, great ball in the season. I don't think nobody is going to beat Boston in the playoffs.
And we got Warriors Rockets tonight, and we know the 7-game series they had last season. Do you have the Warriors coming out again, or do you see the Rockets getting over that hump?
Yeah, I got Warriors, especially if it comes down to Warriors Rockets. I got Warriors. I don't, man. Like I said, all the drama. I think, you know, I think they're just having fatigue of being so great, and they're kind of, you know, they actually probably need the drama, you know, to get them through the year. So, you know, I don't. Yeah, so I had to say my finals go be Warriors Boston still, but. I mean, Warriors more locked than Boston, but yeah, I'm going Warriors Boston.
How many games the Warriors winning it in?
How many they win it in?
Yep.
Ooh. They win it in 6.
So longer than last year, at least.
Yeah. They'll get tested this year for sure.
Well, Mark,
their bench is not all that, but yeah, in 6.
Well, Mark, I think that's all we have for you today, so thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really appreciate having you on.
All right, thank you, man. Anytime.
That'll be it for this week's episode of Droppin' Dimes. Once again, thank you so much to Mark Haynes for coming on the show. We really appreciate having him out. And once again, as well, Stay tuned for Droppin' Dimes on KZLX on Thursdays from 4 to 6. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Droppin_Dimes1. Thanks again, guys. Peace.
Dropping dimes, dropping dimes.